This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
What was the minhag of the Chasam Sofer during the holy days between Yom Kippurim and Sukkos? What did the Heilige Chasam Sofer do? How did he occupy himself during these 4 Yomim Kedoshim? Amazingly, if you look in Sefer Minhagei Chasam Sofer, not to be confused with Minhagei Chasam Sofer of Rabbi Yoshua Leib Shilo, but rather Minhagei Chasam Sofer of Rabbi Kiva Menachem Sofer, Perek Yud Ches. He brings that Bimei Alumav, in the youth of the Chasam Sofer, Chiber Shirim, he composed songs, Be'arbas Hayamim, in the 4 days, Shebein Yom Kippurim LaSukkos, Me'roiv Deveikos Va'avas Hashem, from the great cleaving and love of God, Shabara Be'kirbai Be'yamim Elu, that burnt and consumed and was illuminating the soul of the Chasam Sofer during these days. In fact, in the Sefer Shiras Moshe of Rabbi Shlomo Alexandri Sofer, he brings that he heard from his father, the Michtav Sofer, that the Chasam Sofer said that when he was young, he didn't know how to express his Deveikus HaKadosh Baruch Hu during these days, and that's when he composed his songs. In fact, it's brought that this was only in the youth of the Chasam Sofer. When the Chasam Sofer was older, his Kedusha was so great that he could not even express it b'shir, and at that time it was V'loi Dumia Sehila. His silence was the only way he could capture the great Hislahavos and Devekos and Ava that he was experiencing at that time. Now, we've said recently, or we've said in the past, from the Gra explains the Ramah. The Ramah tells us we don't say Tachnon during the days between Yom Kippur and Sukkos. The Gra says that since Sukkos is Rishon l'cheshbon avonos, since Sukkos is the first day that sin begins to be calculated. Why would that be? We know we're atoned on Yom Kippur, but a person could sin in between Yom Kippur and Sukkos. So the Gra says, because the days in between are like Yom Kippur b'miksas, which implies that just like Yom Kippur is mechaper, the days in between Yom Kippur and Sukkos also have some degree of atonement power. They're like Yom Kippur b'miksas, therefore Sukkos is Rishon l'cheshbon avonos. In the drasha for Shabbos Haggadah in the year Tav Kuf Samach, the Chasam Sofer said a similar idea, but not exactly the same as what is implied from the Gra. The Chasam Sofer says, it's in Drashas Chasam Sofer, page Reish Lamed Daled, Tur Beis, that why is Yom Kippur called Soima Rabbah, the Great Fast? Chasam Sofer says any mitzvah, at the time you're oisik in it, it protects, it shields, and it continues for the rest of the day. However, once the day is over, the effect of the mitzvah is gone. But says the Chasam Sofer, the kapara of Yom Kippur is nimshach for 4 days. It lasts for 4 days. And that's why the first day of Sukkot is called Rishon l'cheshbon avonos. And then, even on Sukkot, we're meskaper alidei the daled minim and the golos. Therefore, Yom Kippur is called Soima Rabbah because it's like a Yoima Arichta, and it continues until the first day of Sukkot. That's why it's called Soima Rabbah. A little different than the Gra. The Gra implied that the days in between themselves have the capacity to mechaper. The Chasam Sofer seems to say that the koyach of Yom Kippur is nimshach until the first day of Sukkot. But this all explains the great devekos and ava that the Chasam Sofer felt and was margish and experienced during these days, as it's a continuation of the Kedusha of Yom Kippurim. In fact, if you looked at the Chasam Sofer's Haskama to the Malbim's Artzos HaChaim, he said that was written on the 12th day of Tishrei in the year 1835, the Chasam Sofer says that he did not have time really to spend with the Malbim, because the needs of the city were so great during these holy days, Yomim Kedoshim, and he wished he could have spent more time with him before Sukkot came, but because of the sanctity of the days, there was just no chance for the Chasam Sofer. But this gives us some insight in the world of the Chasam Sofer. The Kedusha and the Kapara of Yom Kippur is Soima Rabbah, it's Nimshach until the first day of Sukkot. So may we have may we be zoichet, be margish the Kedusha of Yom Kippur in these days, and the Yomim Kedoshim that we're experiencing, and may we be zoichet to reach the first day of Sukkos, Rishon Lecheshbon Avonos, in a state of Tahara and Kedusha, V'zoicha to Makabel the Yom Tov, Be'ahava Uveratzain. Wishing everyone a Chag Kosher v'Sameach.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.